Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Discussing Digital. And today I'm discussing digital marketing with Hayley Jones, who's an accountant. Hayley, would you like to introduce yourself, your business, and then just sort of talk a little bit about your digital marketing in general, and then we'll sort of go from there?
My name's Hayley Jones, and I own and run the accountancy firm HB Associates. So we are a bunch of chartered accountants who look after all your compliance taxation needs. In relation to digital marketing, I tend to try and really have a presence across every kind of channel, but I very much focus on the ones that tend to work more for me. Those tend to be my personal LinkedIn, and TikTok seems to be quite responsible too.
Cool. All right. Well, because I'm fascinated by TikTok at the moment, and we were having a bit of a chat beforehand
Yeah.
about it. So let's dive straight in with TikTok, because obviously everyone knows that TikTok's a bit about video and content, and so let's talk to start with about the challenges you said you face with recording video. But then actually, I'm going to encourage everyone to go and look because Hayley's videos are brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm quite an introvert person. Probably that is a bit stereotypical accountant, but I like to think I'm not a stereotypical accountant. And so the whole concept of recording myself on film and listening to it back, and I'm quite a perfectionist. So in the early days when I started doing it, I would probably spend hours looking like trying to do a video and editing it, deleting it, and all this kind of thing. So it's definitely out of my comfort zone completely. But it's something I think the more you do, the more you kind of get a bit better at it. And you just kind of go along with it, really.
Yeah. I can resonate perfectly with you about comfort zones, because I have a weird thing, right? So I'm a bit old school, right? So I'm used to recording videos like we're going to release here, which are in landscape format, but the whole switching it to short form and portrait is just a bit of an enigma to me still at the moment. So you're ahead of me in that, getting over that.
I think it's trial and error, a lot of these things, you can listen to a lot of videos, you can listen to a lot of people and a lot of professionals. But when you start doing it yourself, you tend to pick up a lot more. One of the things that I came across was CapCut with TikTok, and that's a really good tool as well to use within that, and it's free as well, which is good.
And you found it quite easy to use?
Relatively. I think if you find like a template or something in TikTok already, and then you click on the link and then do it that way, it's a lot easier. Sometimes when you go in the app itself, I find it a bit more clunky to find like what maybe I want. But yeah, that tends to work for me.
Okay, well that's good. That's good tips. I'm going to go away and play with. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the content that you generate, because you did say that you have a content plan of a certain extent, and you found it. So you found a way of knowing in advance what you want to do. So
Kind of, yes. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as calling it a content plan. I think that's a bit ambitious, but I tend to think of it kind of the week before, and I kind of set myself a realistic target of what I can realistically post each week and the time I have to do that content and things like that. And for me, it was I would do 3 posts on, say, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, although I'm very on the fence with Threads. And they tend to be the same sort of post, purely because I know those channels don't really get me much interaction. They get me a little, but not to the extent of the other channels. So it's really just there for a bit of a presence. And then I wanted to really push this year, getting more involved on TikTok and driving that a lot more. Being in the industry I am, it can be really perceived as quite a boring topic to discuss, so it's quite sometimes challenging to make that more fun and people to interact with. So that's kind of one of the challenges I have with TikTok, but my aim is to really post 3 videos a week across kind of the week. So that could be anything from something really informative to something maybe that's come up in the news, or just maybe mocking us as a stereotypical accountants half the time, but just to have a bit of fun with it as well and get people engaged.
Yeah, well, I think that's really good. So yeah, you've got, you set yourself a target And you are finding time, because obviously you're an accountant. Just we're recording this early in February, so you've just been through the tax return deadline, but you still managed to kind of keep producing that content even when you were snowed under with new clients and clients going, got to get this in by the end of January and all that sort of thing. So I think that's a credit to you to be able
I
to.
think that in that sense, it's bulk planning.
Mm,
So with the videos, I try and now record in a bulk setting so that then I've got, say, 3 videos sat there in drafts ready to go and edited. With the posts I put out, they're, scheduled for the week ahead. That takes up a lot of pressure. The
yeah,
only one that I would say I don't schedule is me personally on LinkedIn, because a lot of people follow me on LinkedIn because they like me as a person, and I tend to kind of share maybe work stuff, but also other stuff that might be I'm doing in the week. So for example, I had a meeting up in Claridge's. I go to the gym and I'm showing that progress, and different things that happen, and that tends to be a little bit more, well, it's definitely not structured, but I tend to post every day really on my own personal page.
yeah. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I almost encourage. You almost have a stock of things that you can go to, or you pre-plan at the beginning of the week, or you record in bulk, and then you layer that personal level on the channels that work to kind of give you that personal feel as well. I think that's a really good mix of the batch stuff and the this is what we're doing in the now type
Yeah.
thing.
I think a lot of people think, you can't recycle material as well. And there's certain things, I'll do like a snippet on a TikTok video that actually will then work really well in an Instagram reel.
Yeah,
So again, at some point, then I filter that information earlier over. So it takes off a bit of pressure as well, because it
yeah.
can, or feel like a full-time job.
Yeah. But I think that's really, really good about how you sort of talked about that. And one of the things I did ask you, sort of in the pre-planning, was what's your best post? And you do say you've got this a TikTok reel video with over 12,500 viewings and interaction, which I think is great.
Yeah, and it's really funny how that kind of works, because like I say, being a perfectionist at heart, you sit there, you edit your videos, you take the time and do it. I've recorded 2 today, and that probably took me somewhere between half an hour, 45 minutes to do 2 videos. And that video in question, I literally sat in this chair at the beginning of January, having to do all the stuff I need to as an accountant in January, and just went like that. To HMRC legislation sat behind me in relation to side hustle tax. And that just rolled for like 2 days, and I was going viral on that for 2 days, which was just mad.
But it's brilliant though, isn't it? It's just something just clicked in the moment, sort of thing. You know.
Did. And then I've gone back to like 200 view jail, so I'm waiting for the next thing to kind of send me again.
Oh, I'm sure it will happen, and when it does, shout about it on all the other channels so we can all go and have a look. That's really good. So obviously we talked quite a lot about TikTok there, and you said your other main channel that works really well for you is LinkedIn. I know we touched about it a little bit on your personal side of things, but sort of sort of say a bit more about how LinkedIn's working for you, because I know you actually said you've got some really good growth stats and it's starting to actually generate business for you as well as just being a presence.
So when I set up my accountancy firm, it was back in January 23. And I've never I hadn't got a LinkedIn profile set up. They encouraged you all those years back in uni to set one up, but I think I did it at uni and then deleted it, so I never had one. So it was really starting from scratch back then and getting myself out there, showing what HB Associates could do. And then it just really kind of materialized from there. And I've gained roughly about 100 followers a month on my personal LinkedIn page. And I would say probably around the 7-month, 8-month mark was when I then started generating inquiries through LinkedIn and then building meetings from there. So it's been a really useful tool.
That's really good. And is all that on the back of just posting and making comments on posts, or do you use the messaging side of it as well?
A bit of everything. So some of those connections were through people I'd met face-to-face networking, where I'd done, in the early days, I was in every single event you could think of. A lot of them was then built on word of mouth. I get such a lot through word of mouth, which I'm really, really, fortunate for and grateful. And then I got a lot of other kind of accountancy professions start following me, and then naturally I think their followers then filter in as well. So I get a real mixed bag of people following me on a weekly basis.
That's good as well. And as part of, did you do any? Did you put any time aside every day to kind of just do a little bit of commenting and liking or anything like that, or is it ad hoc?
I think we live in such a world where everything is so instant with social media. So if you're anything like me, I've got it all through my phone. So that's constantly there. If it flashes up and, I've seen it, then I'll comment underneath it. I think one of the key things I would say is if, it's all well and good spending the time and effort doing these social media posts, but if you haven't got the time to communicate and, bounce off of people that are commenting on, sharing your stuff, it's almost redundant in itself. You need
Yeah.
having that time to be able to do that.
Oh, excuse me. So do you make a lot of use of the notification features on LinkedIn?
Yeah, definitely. You could be flitting from one thing to the other. I mean, I'm sat here now talking to you, but on my screen is my LinkedIn screen, and I've
Ah,
got 4 chats set up where people have popped up to speak to me. So it's really helpful. Because in this, I'll come off this call, and then if that wasn't there, I would probably have forgotten about it
yeah,
without.
yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Those
So many things.
those little red circles with the white.
It's helpful.
There comes a time when you go, just gotta shut it all down so I can do some work. That's
Yeah, and that is key as well. It's one of the things I learned really, I think, from Steve O'Neill and his clear training is blocking out time. And that becomes really, really important because things like social media can be such a background noise. Whilst it's good, it's not my main job. So it's actually having that time to say, no, these hours are solely focused on this
yeah.
rather than replying to this message, this, that, and the other. So it's having the balance between the two.
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I've deliberately blocked my calendar out. This is it's time when I'm working on my business. This is where time when I'm working on client business. This is time for when I'm just browsing or learning and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I do my best to stick to that. Don't always, but
He would be very proud. I've color coded my calendar this morning. So it's really helpful to me.
It's amazing what works. I have to say, mine's. That's one of the things I've always been quite good at. Right from back when I used to do project management, and I've been running multiple projects. So they all had different colors, just so I could work out
I'm
which.
quite a visual person, so that helps me a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'm quite conscious that we've been talking for quite a while, and obviously we need to kind of move on a little bit. One of the things I'm interested in is what other plans do you have? Because I know everything we sort of talked about, you haven't mentioned anything like got plans for email, you're using email marketing or anything like that at the moment. Have you got any plans for that?
Um, I for me, for everything currently, my main focus is continue on LinkedIn because that is where my heart and of it all is. I'd like to grow on TikTok, but I need to really focus a little bit of intention on my website and bringing that up. It's been good so far, and I'm working with a team to kind of keep pushing it. And I've run some good things on there, but that's kind of the next thing. I
So my wife.
Oh, I thought it went really, really quiet. Sorry.
No, no, sorry, my wife popped in to deliver something. I don't know what it is, but
Oh, do you want me
it's
to
all right. We'll just cut this bit out. Sorry.
say? Do you want me to start that again so you
Yeah, I
can
can't remember what we were saying.
ask the question again? And like that really threw me.
Yeah, no, through me as well. We were talking about email, weren't we? Yeah. What? Yeah.
What's my plan for the future?
Yeah, that's it. Right. Sorry about that. Yeah, through me. And I forgot to warn her that I was recording something. So. Okay. Right. So just go back to that. So, yeah. So, obviously we talked about social media and things like that. So what plans do you have going forwards on other elements of your digital marketing? So for instance, we haven't really sort of mentioned email marketing or sort of website development.
Yeah, I think for me, email marketing, I don't understand it enough. So it's one of those kind of nemesis in a room that I probably haven't look into. I worry about GDPR and things like that. So for me, my focus this year really is A, to continue with the LinkedIn side and the TikTok side, but also to then move my attention more to my website. I've done some good things on there so far. I've, been generating inquiries through there, but I just want to take that a bit to the next level as well. I tend to kind of really do a review process, like every kind of like 3-6 months, and then whatever's gone on, I then build on that and move forward. So I'm not saying I'll never do email marketing, but I'm an accountant. If I don't understand it, I'll feel a bit uncomfortable with it.
No.
Yeah, I need to really like understand it a bit more before I consider it.
Yeah, and that goes back to again, you're saying you're a perfectionist, but the thing is, you've got a lot of things that are already working for you, so it's actually just sort of make when you're ready to put that into the mix, and things like that. So do you use much of the Google Business Profile as well?
Yes, I do. And I've just had a chat with the people that are helping me with my website, and they've given me some really good pointers on there, what I need to do to bring that more up to date. So I've got kind of some homework to do in the next month. And I like that we have kind of a bit of like a monthly chat or a monthly kind of touch point, because it makes me accountable.
Yeah.
And when you're running a business, you wear so many different hats, and it's very easy to let something slide. So for me, I now know by the time that next month comes around a report, I need to have done these things that she's given me on the tick list to go through. I haven't done my homework. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. So, as you say, you've got that accountability, you've got a bit of a plan, and you've got a longer term thing. So, yeah. No, that's really good. And I think again, that's a really important thing. So you've got a digital marketing, effectively, you've got a digital marketing strategy in place, even though some of it's short term, some of it's longer term.
Doesn't feel like it, but if you say so.
Yeah, no, also, well, you've got a vision. That's all sort of like what a lot of it is about. It's a bit like all marketing. It's important to have some sort of goals and direction of travel as well. So that's cool. Thank you. Just conscious of time. So as I sort of gave you a heads up, I ask all of my guests if they can give 2 tips. One is something that's really good, work for you, and other people should try doing this. And one is, don't do that. It's really, really not a good thing to do. So let's start with a good thing. So what's your piece of good advice to anybody that's watching or listening?
I think it's just consistency. But for me, I knew it wasn't realistic to post every single day on every single channel. I knew I would never have the time capacity to do that, maybe in the early days, but definitely not something I could sustain for the future. So it was about creating something that I knew was realistic and was sustainable. And I think if you can be consistent in that approach, you'll then start generating and seeing results. And the more active you are with people, the better it is.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I think consistency is such a big part of it. And what about the don't do this? What's your don't do this tip?
I think that there's so many people nowadays that are experts in so many different things, and they're telling us you should do this, you should do that, and it becomes a lot of white noise to, oh gosh, I must jump on that bandwagon. When Threads came around, it was this massive thing, jump on it, it's going to be great, it's going to be amazing. If I'm honest, I don't think it's that great or amazing. And
no, I think that was a complete damp squib in the end.
Completely. And again, it just proves the hype that people kind of have with these sort of things. So my tip is, work out what channels work for you. Just because your competitor is maybe now got an Instagram or they've got a Facebook and they're going, look at me, I've got all these followers. That might work for them, but it might not work for you. So what's the point in trying to compete with someone just to save a bit of face, if you like, on that side, when actually you need to focus your attention and channels into the channel that does work for you. And I think that's really crucial, with knowing what works for you in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so easy, isn't it? Oh, look, there's a new shiny thing over there. Yeah, no, I think that's really, really, really good advice. So finally, if people want to get in contact with you because they need an accountant, or if they just want to kind of be able to follow you on any of your digital platforms, and I should say all the links will be shared in the show notes, but what's the best way to sort of get in contact with you?
So again, depending what channels you use the most as a user, we are on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, LinkedIn, and TikTok. So for Instagram, Threads, and Facebook and LinkedIn business, it's HB Associates _accountants. For TikTok, it's the Red-Headed Accountant, which is obviously myself. And for my personal LinkedIn, it's Hayley Jones with the ginger emoji as well.
I have to say, I love the fact you're the redhead accountant on TikTok. I think it's a great title, a great handle. So brilliant. Yes, as you say, just for me to say thank you very much for taking the time to be on our show today. Really enjoyed chatting with you. And thank you for sharing all the hints and tips that you've have shared with us about digital marketing.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's been good.